This PeopleSoft Spotlight Series for Cloud Manager is based on Image 11. This video discusses migrating environments to Cloud Manager. Check out the Spotlight Series page on the PeopleSoft Information Portal for other videos in this series. You can watch them in order or individually depending on where you are in your Cloud Manager implementation. In this video, we will discuss how lift and shift is used to migrate environments to PeopleSoft Cloud Manager. On-premise environments can be migrated using the lift and shift process. Cloud Manager's support for Zero Downtime Migration, or ZDM, expands the variety of environments that can be migrated with Cloud Manager's automated lift and shift process. When migrating using ZDM, you will import the environment into Cloud Manager. We will begin by looking at the lift and shift process. Migration to cloud is achieved in two steps, lift and shift. First, download the lift utility. The lift utility is used to package the on-premise environment. You will need to run an application lift which creates the DPK that includes App Home and Custom, and a database lift which uses RMAN to back up the PeopleSoft Oracle database and create the database DPK. These customer DPK packages are then uploaded to Oracle Object Storage. The shift process uses the lift and shift topology and template to create a new environment using the customer DPKs. From the Cloud Manager homepage, select the lift and shift tile. To download the lift utility, use the link provided. For more information on how to use the lift utility, refer to the help pages. You will find additional information about installing lift prerequisites, performing an application lift, and performing the database lift. Use the List Object Store Items button to view all environments that are currently in the Object Store. As you can see, there are several lifted environments. To view the details for an environment, click the Actions button and select View Details. You can see the two DPKs that were created when the environment was lifted. This environment is on PeopleTools 8.57.07. Before you can shift an environment, you must update the lift and shift topology for the shape to use. For this demo, we will use the DBAS lift and shift topology. This topology has three nodes, Middle Tier, DB Systems, and PeopleSoft Client. You need to select the shape and size for each node. Open each node and select the shape for the node and the required disk space. After you save the topology, return to the Lift and Shift page. To create the environment, click the Action button and select Create Environment. The wizard will lead you through the steps to configure the environment. Notice that the template name is read-only. We will enter the name, description, and zone. On the Advanced Options page, for Target Database On, the selections are Compute and DBAS. For customers who subscribe to DBCS services, the target database can be deployed on DBAS. The drop-down for PeopleTools Patch Version will list the PeopleTools Patch versions available in the Cloud Manager repository. Users can opt to update the PeopleTools patch during the shift. For this demo, we will select PeopleTools 8.57 Patch 14. You have the option of pausing after completion of the infrastructure task. If yes is selected, additional setup actions or operations can be performed on the newly created environment outside of Cloud Manager before proceeding with the PeopleSoft deployment. Click Next to enter the custom attributes. You will need to expand each section to provide the credentials necessary for your environment. You must complete the region and availability domain to indicate where the provisioned environment will reside in OCI. Cloud Manager supports shared Linux middle tier. In order to use this option, the file system must exist in OCI. For this demo, we are not using a shared file system. Next, we will enter the credentials for the middle tier. Select the subnet for the middle tier. You also have the option to select the default domain for this environment. We will use the OCI default. In the Domain Settings section, you can change settings for the middle tier components, such as ports to use for the web server. For this demo, we will use the defaults. Enter the credentials for the database. For non-TDE database, you must enter the RMAN backup password. In the general settings for the database system, enter the database name and PDB name to use. Note that when creating a new shifted environment of a lifted RMAN backup, you must provide a different CBD name than the CBD name of the source database on which the RMAN lift was performed. The shift will fail if the same CBD name is used. Select the subnet for the database. For the database systems options, enter the software release, display name, and software edition. For the PeopleSoft client, enter the credentials and the subnet. Click Next to review your settings. When you're ready, submit the provisioning request. The status will start as initiating, and then you'll see provisioning. Use the Details action to check on the current provisioning status. Select Provision Task Status. In this example, the infrastructure is complete and the database is provisioning. When the provisioning is complete, the environment will show running. All of the lifecycle management tasks are available. Now we will look at the steps for migrating a database using ZDM and then creating the environment in Cloud Manager. These steps include how to import an environment. First, you need to create a DBS system in OCI using the OCI console or REST API. This is an example of the DB system in OCI. When creating the DB system, the name for the container database, referred to as CDB, and the database passwords should be the same as the source database. When the database system is created, copy and store the database system OCID, database OCID, and private IP address. This information is needed when you import the database in step 3. Next, you will migrate the database to OCI using ZDM. This is an example of the command line used to migrate the database. The script will create a backup of the source database and restore it to the target database system in OCI. When the database is available in OCI, the next step is to import the database into Cloud Manager. Before performing the import, there are a few more tasks to perform. First, make sure you have all the credentials necessary for the database system. We made a note of these earlier in this demo. Next, you need to copy the Cloud Manager SSH public key to the database system. This is required to authorize Cloud Manager to access the database environment in order to import the database system. You will also need to make sure that the service entry is present in the TNS names.aura file on the database system. To copy the Cloud Manager SSH public key, SSH into Cloud Manager as PSADM2. Navigate to the directory where the key is located. You will need to open the Cloud Manager public key and copy the contents. You can then paste the Cloud Manager SSH key in the database system in OCI. Next, you want to ensure that the service name entry has been added to the tnsnames.aura file on the database system. SSH into the database system as Oracle. The tnsnames.aura file is located in the Oracle Home Network Admin directory. If the service name entry for the PDB is not present, you need to add it. In this example, we have already added the entry for the service PDB 1807. Now we are ready to import the database. In Cloud Manager, navigate to the Environments tile and select Import Environment. Enter an environment name and description, then click Add Node. Select DB Systems for the instance type. Enter the credentials for the database system and click OK. The DBS Systems node displays complete. Click Done to start the import. The status is Importing DB System. To view the status of the import, select the Details action and then select Import. When the import is complete, the environment is running. The next step is to perform the application lift. When you perform the application lift, select Y for database migration using ZDM. You will then be prompted to enter the database unique name. The application lift will create the application DPK and upload it to object storage. The last step is to add the middle tier node to the environment. To add the middle tier node, select the Manage Node action. Expand the Select Action section and add a Linux middle tier node. Expand the Settings section to select the application DPK location. If you manually copied App Home and Cust Home to the file server, select File Server and provide the relative path to the App Home and Cust Home. For this demo, we lifted the application DPK to object storage, so we will select the application DPK. The middle tier will be provisioned in the same region and availability domain as the database system. In the Tier Settings section, select the shape for the middle tier. The middle tier node will contain the application server, process scheduler, and web server. Expand custom attributes and enter the credentials for the middle tier. You also need to select the subnet for the middle tier, as well as the fault domain. Use Submit to start provisioning the node. The status will show Add Node in Progress. Use the Details action to check the provisioning status. When the Terraform infrastructure operation is complete, middle tier provisioning will begin. You can check the provisioning status and view the activities. When the middle tier provisioning is complete, the environment will be running. All lifecycle management actions are available. For additional information, you can access these resources for PeopleSoft Cloud Manager. The Cloud Manager homepage on My Oracle Support includes installation and implementation information, as well as additional resources for your environment. View Cloud Manager in the PeopleSoft Information Portal and go to the PeopleSoft Technology blogs to get the latest updates about Cloud Manager. Go to the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure documentation for information about OCI services and features.